The Galactic Council shit itself when Earth's web of hidden colonies was exposed, shattering centuries of galactic deception. In the heart of a seedy spaceport cantina, two Prilorian diplomats huddled over neon drinks. Quasar glanced over each shoulder before leaning close to Xyloth. "Did you catch wind of the humans' latest stunt?" Xyloth's antennae twitched. He sipped his bubbling concoction. "No, what did those primitive apes pull this time?" "One of our scout ships was charting an uncontacted sector. They found a human colony, New Avalon." Quasar gripped his glass. "It's centuries beyond anything we thought they had. Massive cities, shipyards cranking out dreadnoughts, a fleet to rival the Council Armada." Xyloth scoffed. "Bullshit. The humans have a couple dinky outposts tops. They can barely travel between stars." "So we assumed, but there's more." Quasar downed his drink in one gulp. "The Scout tapped their databanks. New Avalon is one secret colony among dozens spread across the galaxy, all hidden from us for generations." Xyloth stared into his glass, eyes wide as moons. "By the stars, how, why?" Quasar glanced at the bar patrons. "We thought humans were hapless upstarts fumbling in the dark, but if this is true, they've been playing us for fools." "What do we do?" Xyloth asked. "What do the humans want? Why reveal themselves now?" "I don't know, but the Council is pissing itself. If the humans choose to attack, we're in for the war of our lives." Quasar waved to the barkeep for another round. "I've got a bad feeling this is just the opener to something bigger, something that'll shake the stars." Xyloth hunched over the table, his mind racing as he processed the bombshell Quasar had just dropped. He tapped a claw on his glass. "But why would they need to evacuate billions? What cataclysm could possibly threaten an entire planet?" Quasar shrugged, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy on his shoulders. "I don't know. But whatever it is, the humans are taking it dead seriously. This Project Exodus, it's not some half-baked scheme. They've been laying the groundwork for generations." Xyloth shook his head in disbelief. "And we had no idea. All this time we thought we were the ones pulling the strings, but the humans, they've been playing a different game entirely." Quasar nodded, his eyes distant. "They've been building a lifeboat, a way to ensure their survival even if the worst should happen, and now with these hidden colonies, they have a foothold across the galaxy, a network of safe havens ready and waiting." Xyloth's mind raced with the implications. If they can evacuate billions, their population could explode overnight. They could become a galactic superpower in a matter of years. Quasar leaned back in his chair, his expression grim. "And that's assuming they don't already have the numbers. Who knows how many of these secret colonies they have, or how long they've been growing?" Xyloth's gaze snapped to Quasar's, a sudden realization dawning. "The Council, they need to know. We can't keep this to ourselves." But Quasar held up a hand, his eyes narrowing. "Wait, think about it. If we reveal this, what happens? The Council panics. They lash out at the humans, try to control them or contain them. And the humans, they've been preparing for this for centuries. They won't go down without a fight." Xyloth's antennae drooped as the weight of the situation sank in. Stars above, it could be war. A war unlike any the galaxy has seen. Quasar nodded solemnly. "And that's assuming the humans don't strike first, with the element of surprise that they could cripple the Council before we even knew what hit us." Xyloth buried his face in his hands. "What do we do, Quasar? What's our play?" Quasar stared into his drink, his mind churning with possibilities. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the next move could tip the scales toward peace, or plunge them into an abyss of war. "Sego." Xyloth's eyes narrowed as he mulled over Quasar's proposition. He drummed his claws on the table, the gears in his mind turning. "A secret diplomatic mission to the humans. It's a gamble. But if it pays off, the rewards could be immeasurable." Quasar leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "Imagine what we could learn from them. Their technology, their strategies for survival. It could revolutionize the Council, bring us into a new era of prosperity and security." Xyloth nodded slowly. his antennae twitching. And if we could convince them to join the Council as allies, it would shift the balance of power in the galaxy. No one would dare challenge us. Quasar's eyes gleamed with possibility. But we have to be careful. We can't let the Council get wind of this, not until we know more. If they find out we've been keeping secrets... Xyloth's grip tightened on his glass. It could be seen as treason. We'd be risking everything. Quasar met his gaze, his expression serious. But if we do nothing, we risk losing the humans' trust forever. They're preparing for war, Xyloth, and if it comes to that, I fear the Council may not be ready. Xyloth sighed, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. He glanced around the cantina, at the oblivious patrons going about their business. None of them had any idea of the storm brewing on the horizon. "All right," he said finally, his voice low. "We'll do it. We'll reach out to the humans, try to establish a line of communication. But we have to be discreet. No one can know, not even our own people." Quasar nodded, a grim smile on his face. "Agreed, we'll need to come up with a plan, find a way to make contact without drawing attention." Xyloth drained the last of his drink, the liquid burning his throat. "And we'll need to be prepared for anything. If this goes wrong—" "It won't," Quasar said firmly. "We'll make it work. We have to. The fate of the galaxy may depend on it." The two diplomats fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and risk, but they both knew they couldn't turn back now. The stakes were too high, the potential rewards too great. They had set themselves on a course that would change the galaxy forever, for better or for worse. And as they sat there in the dimly lit cantina, the weight of that responsibility settled heavy on their shoulders. As the bustling cantina hummed with activity around them, Xyloth and Quasar huddled closer, their voices low and urgent. Xyloth drummed his claws on the table. "Requesting leave won't be easy. The Council keeps close tabs on high-ranking diplomats like us. They'll want to know why." Quasar leaned back, a sly grin spreading across his face. "Then we give them a reason they can't refuse. We'll say we're investigating a potential trade deal with a new species, something big enough to warrant a personal touch." Xyloth's antennae twitched. "That could work, but we'll need to be careful. If anyone suspects our true motives—" "They won't," Quasar said firmly. He stood, adjusting his uniform. "I'll handle the arrangements. You focus on gathering any additional intel you can on this Arthur Jenkins and the space station." Xyloth nodded, rising to his feet. "I'll tap my sources, see what I can dig up, but Quasar, are we sure about this if we're caught?" Quasar clapped a hand on Xyloth's shoulder. "We won't be. Trust me, Xyloth, this is our chance to make a real difference, to shape the future of the galaxy." Xyloth met his gaze, a flicker of excitement mingling with the uncertainty in his eyes. "For better or worse," he murmured. "For the better," Quasar said, his voice ringing with conviction. "Now let's get to work. We have a human diplomat to meet." As they exited the cantina, stepping out into the neon-drenched streets of the spaceport, Xyloth couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental, something that would change the course of galactic history. He glanced at Quasar, who strode ahead with purpose, his eyes gleaming with determination. Whatever lay ahead, Xyloth knew one thing for certain: there was no one he'd rather have by his side as they ventured into the unknown. The two diplomats melted into the crowd, their mission clear and their resolve unshakable. The first step had been taken. Now all that remained was to see where the path would lead them. Jenkins narrowed his eyes, mulling over Quasar's words. The bustling cantina hummed around them, a cacophony of clinking glasses and raucous laughter. Jenkins leaned in, his voice low. "And what makes you think we need your help? Earth has been doing just fine on its own." Xyloth glanced at Quasar before replying, "Because we have resources and connections that could be invaluable to your cause, and, more importantly, we have information that could impact the future of Project Exodus." Jenkins's brow furrowed. "What kind of information?" Quasar pulled out a datapad and slid it across the bar. Our scout managed to intercept a transmission from one of your colonies. It seems there's a faction within the Galactic Council that's growing suspicious of Earth's activities. Jenkins grabbed the datapad, his eyes scanning the contents. His jaw clenched. How did they find out? We've been so careful. Xyloth leaned in. That's where we come in. We have allies within the Council who can help divert attention away from Earth, but we need to know more about Project Exodus and your long-term goals. Jenkins set the datapad down, his fingers tapping against the bar. And what do you want in return? I doubt this offer of help comes without a price. Quasar smiled. We want a seat at the table. Earth is on the cusp of becoming a major player in galactic politics. We want to ensure that the Prilorian Empire has a voice in shaping that future. Jenkins scoffed. So that's what this is about? Power and influence? Xyloth shook his head. No, it's about survival. The galaxy is changing, Jenkins. The old order is crumbling. We believe that Earth and the Prilorian Empire are uniquely positioned to forge a new path forward, one based on cooperation and mutual benefit. Jenkins stared into his drink, his mind racing. The offer was tempting, but trusting two Prilorian diplomats was a risk. He glanced up at Quasar and Xyloth, weighing his options. I'll need to discuss this with my superiors, Jenkins said finally. I can't make a decision like this on my own. Quasar nodded. We understand. But time is of the essence. The longer we wait, the greater the risk of discovery. Jenkins stood up, pocketing the datapad. Give me 24 hours, I'll be in touch. He turned to leave, but paused, looking back at the two Prilorians. And for the record, if this is some kind of trick or trap, you'll regret it. Earth doesn't take kindly to betrayal. Xyloth held up his hands. You have our word, Jenkins. We're here as friends, not enemies. Jenkins gave a curt nod before disappearing into the crowd, leaving Quasar and Xyloth alone at the bar. They exchanged a look, both knowing that the next 24 hours could determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. As Jenkins' footsteps receded, Quasar and Xyloth exchanged a glance. The din of the cantina swelled around them, glasses clinking, raucous laughter echoing off the metal walls. But the two Prilorians were lost in thought. Xyloth drummed his claws on the bar, his brow furrowed. Do you think he bought it? That we're really here to help? Quasar traced a finger along the rim of his glass. Hard to say. Jenkins is no fool, but we made a compelling case. And if his superiors agree to open a channel, what then? Xyloth's tone was edged with uncertainty. Quasar met his gaze, eyes glinting in the dim light. Then we start building trust. We share intel, offer assistance where we can, show them that we're on their side. And if they don't agree, Xyloth pressed, if they decide we can't be trusted? A grim smile tugged at Quasar's lips. Then we improvise. We can't let this opportunity slip away. Too much is at stake. Xyloth nodded, resolve hardening his features. You're right. We've come too far to turn back now. Whatever happens, we see this through. Quasar raised his glass in a solemn toast, to the future of our peoples, and to the hope of a new alliance. Xyloth clinked his glass against Quasar's. The amber liquid sloshed, catching the neon glow of the cantina signs. They drank deep, the alcohol burning down their throats. Setting his empty glass on the bar, Quasar stood. We should get moving. Jenkins will be expecting us to make ourselves scarce. Xyloth followed suit, tossing a few credits on the bar. Where to? Back to the ship? Quasar shook his head. Not yet. I want to do a little digging first. See if we can learn anything more about these hidden colonies. Xyloth fell into step beside him as they wove through the crowded cantina. And how do you propose we do that? It's not like the humans are going to just hand over their secrets. A sly grin spread across Quasar's face. Every secret leaves a trail, Xyloth. We just have to know where to look. As they stepped out into the neon-drenched streets of the space station, Quasar's mind was already racing. He knew they were treading a dangerous path, one that could lead to salvation or ruin for both their peoples. But he also knew that the potential rewards were too great to ignore. If they could forge an alliance with the humans, gain access to their technology and knowledge, it could change everything. The stakes had never been higher, but as Quasar strode into the pulsing heart of the station, Xyloth at his side, he felt a thrill of exhilaration. They were standing on the precipice of a new era, and he was determined to see it through to whatever end. The game was on, and Quasar intended to play for keeps. Quasar and Xyloth sat in the dimly lit conference room, the holographic display casting a blue glow across their faces. Jenkins' image flickered before them, his expression serious yet hopeful. Project Exodus, Jenkins began, is a multifaceted plan to ensure the survival and prosperity of the human race. At its core, it involves the establishment of self-sufficient colonies on carefully selected planets across the galaxy. Quasar leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. And these colonies, they're designed to withstand the impending cataclysm on Earth. Jenkins nodded. Yes, each colony is equipped with advanced technology and infrastructure to sustain a large population indefinitely, but it's not just about survival. Xyloth tilted his head. What do you mean? Project Exodus is also about preserving and advancing human culture, knowledge and innovation. The colonies will serve as hubs for scientific research, artistic expression, and societal development. We aim to create a network of thriving communities that can support and enrich each other. Quasar stroked his chin. Impressive, and how far along are you in implementing this plan? Jenkins smiled. Further than you might think, we've already established over a dozen fully functional colonies, with more in various stages of development. Our goal is to have a network of at least 50 colonies within the next 2 decades. Xyloth's eyes widened. That's incredible, and you've managed to keep this hidden from the Galactic Council all this time. Jenkins chuckled. It hasn't been easy, but yes, our advanced cloaking technology and strict communication protocols have been essential in maintaining secrecy. Quasar leaned back in his chair. And what role do you see the Prilorian Empire playing in all this? Jenkins clasped his hands together. We believe that a partnership between our peoples could be mutually beneficial. Your advanced propulsion systems and energy production technology could greatly accelerate our progress. In return, we can share our knowledge in fields like terraforming, bioengineering, and artificial intelligence. Xyloth nodded enthusiastically. That sounds like a fair exchange, and of course we would be honored to assist in any way we can with the evacuation and resettlement efforts when the time comes. Jenkins's smile widened. I'm glad to hear that. Together, I believe we can not only ensure the survival of our peoples, but also lay the foundation for a new era of peace and prosperity in the galaxy. Quasar and Xyloth exchanged a look of excitement and determination. The path ahead was still uncertain, but with this new alliance, they felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. As the meeting drew to a close, Jenkins's image began to flicker. I'm afraid I must go now, but I look forward to our continued discussions and cooperation. Until next time, gentlemen. With that, the hologram winked out. Quasar turned to Xyloth, a grin spreading across his face. Well, my friend, it seems we have our work cut out for us, but I have a feeling this is the beginning of something truly extraordinary. Xyloth nodded, his antennae twitching with anticipation. Indeed, the future is looking brighter already. The 2 Prilorians stood, ready to begin the next phase of their mission. The road ahead was long and full of challenges, but they knew that with the humans by their side, anything was possible. As Jenkins elaborated on the intricacies of Project Exodus, Quasar and Xyloth listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder. Jenkins pulled up a holographic display showing a network of interconnected colonies spanning the galaxy. Each colony is carefully chosen based on its potential for long-term habitability, Jenkins explained, zooming in on a lush, verdant world. Our terraforming techniques allow us to transform even the harshest environments into thriving ecosystems. Xyloth leaned forward, studying the hologram. Remarkable. And you've managed to keep these colonies hidden from the Council's prying eyes? Jenkins nodded, a hint of pride in his voice. Our cloaking technology is unparalleled. We've been able to develop and expand these colonies without anyone being the wiser. Quasar pointed to a cluster of colonies near the edge of the map. What about resources? Surely building and maintaining these colonies requires a tremendous amount of raw materials and energy. Jenkins grinned. That's where our breakthroughs in energy production and resource management come in. He tapped the display, bringing up a schematic of an advanced power plant. We've developed highly efficient fusion reactors that can provide virtually unlimited clean energy, and our resource extraction and recycling systems allow us to maximize the use of every scrap of material. Xyloth shook his head in amazement. The Galactic Council has been trying to crack fusion power for centuries, and you've already mastered it. Jenkins chuckled. Necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. When you're preparing for the end of the world, you tend to prioritize certain areas of research. Quasar leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with possibilities. This technology, it could revolutionize life for billions of people across the galaxy. Imagine if we could bring clean energy and sustainable resources to every world, not just your hidden colonies. Jenkins nodded, his expression turning serious. That's exactly what we hope to do eventually. But we have to be careful. If the Council gets wind of our capabilities too soon, they might try to take control or worse, see us as a threat. Xyloth held up a hand. We understand your caution, Jenkins, but know that the Prilorian Empire stands ready to assist you in any way we can. Our own scientists and engineers could work with yours, sharing knowledge and resources to further advance these technologies. Jenkins smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. I appreciate that, Xyloth, and I agree a collaboration between our peoples could be immensely beneficial, not just for Project Exodus, but for the future of the entire galaxy. Quasar stood up, extending his hand to Jenkins. Then let this be the beginning of a new era of cooperation and progress. Together, we can ensure the survival and prosperity of both our species and pave the way for a brighter tomorrow. Jenkins grasped Quasar's hand firmly, sealing the pact between their worlds. As the holographic display of Project Exodus glowed softly in the background, the three diplomats knew that they were standing on the precipice of something truly extraordinary. A chance to reshape the destiny of the galaxy itself. The revelation hung heavy in the air as Quasar and Xyloth absorbed the magnitude of Jenkins' words. A wave of dark energy, born from some ancient cosmic mistake, now threatened to consume the entire galaxy. The very existence they had taken for granted teetered on the brink of annihilation. Quasar clenched his fists, his mind reeling. How could we have missed this? How could our scientists, with all their advanced technology, have failed to detect such a catastrophic event? Jenkins shook his head, his eyes filled with a weariness that spoke of countless sleepless nights. It's not your fault. This wave, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. It defies our understanding of the universe itself. Xyloth leaned forward, his antennae twitching with agitation. But surely there must be something we can do, some way to stop it, or at least mitigate its effects. Jenkins sighed, rubbing his temples. Our best minds have been working on this problem for years, ever since we first detected the anomaly. But so far we've come up empty. The scale of the event is simply too vast, too beyond our comprehension. Quasar slammed his fist on the table, frustration boiling over. So what, we just sit back and wait for the end? Watch as entire worlds are swallowed up by this darkness? Jenkins met his gaze, a flicker of determination sparking in his eyes. No, we fight. We use every resource at our disposal to fortify our colonies, to make them bastions of hope in the coming storm. We reach out to other species, forge alliances, and work together to save as many lives as we can. Xyloth nodded, his resolve hardening. The Prilorian Empire will stand with you, Jenkins. Our fleets, our technology, our people, all will be dedicated to this cause. Quasar stood, his shoulders squared. And we'll keep this between us for now. The last thing we need is widespread panic and chaos. We'll work in the shadows, quietly preparing for the inevitable. Jenkins rose, extending his hand. Then let this be the beginning of a new era of cooperation between our peoples. In the face of annihilation, we stand united. As Quasar and Xyloth clasped Jenkins' hand, a sense of purpose settled over them. The road ahead would be long and fraught with peril, but they knew that the fate of the galaxy now rested on their shoulders. And as they stepped out of the conference room, ready to begin the monumental task of preparing for the coming apocalypse, a grim realization settled in their hearts. The universe they had known, the peace and stability they had fought so hard to maintain, was about to be shattered beyond recognition. If you finished this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.